You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold, episode 29. Today, we welcome in a very special guest, a very special law student, Ydelmis Cutino. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Very good. All the way up there in Tampa, where my boy Tom Brady is. He left the New England Patriots, and you haven't run into him, have you?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, if you do, tell him I say hi, and we miss him on the Patriots here in New England. So we featured you in February 5th, 2020. So and as of this recording, it's December 30th, 2020 today. This will probably come out in January, but we've gone like a whole year, and I'm sure you've accomplished a ton of things during the year. You have a really interesting story. It was sort of like a highlight for us here at Lawyer Stories. And so you were born and raised in Miami, and you're super young. You went for an associate. Tell us your age when you got your associates and why you went for an associate's instead of a bachelor right away.
Okay. So thank you for having me on your podcast. It is my honor to be featured on today's show.
Good to have you.
Thank you. And I honestly started off with an associate's degree because of a particular program that I was involved with in high school. So it was an early college program that was kind of like a dual enrollment program that you were able to start as a freshman. And so I started off doing that until my junior year. In my junior year, I transferred over to a collegiate high school by the name of School for Advanced Studies.
Oh, wow.
There, I was able to take and kind of up the number of college classes that I was taking during the day. So I actually managed to graduate with my associate's degree by the age of 17, right before I graduated with my high school degree.
Right before you graduated with your high school?
My high school degree, yes. And
amazing.
I actually
So you got associates is 2 years. So you did
Correct.
2 years of work, and you weren't even done with your high school yet. That's incredible.
So I was pretty much done with my high school credits as a sophomore because I took so many AP classes and collegiate classes. And I actually started taking high school classes in middle school. I took Algebra 1 in 7th grade, and then I took geometry in 8th grade. So I was able to kind of up.
And that was something you were just always driven to do, right?
I was, actually.
So let's take that back. So your folks are from Cuba?
I was born and raised in Miami, but my parents are from Cuba.
Okay. And when did they come over, and what were they doing?
So my parents immigrated here 1980.
Okay.
They came here, they really had that vision of working. Obviously, this is a land of opportunity, something that they clearly didn't have in Cuba, unfortunately, due to the political regime. So they started kind of building themselves in that aspect, working, having a more ambitious mentality. And I kind of was brought up with that mentality of being able to conquer anything and everything I put my mind to with God's will. And obviously, one of the things that they valued mostly was education, given the fact that in Cuba, they were very limited in terms of the resources over there, and the education is completely different than here. So I'm my dad's only and first child, and I'm my mom's youngest child.
Okay.
So they obviously saw in me that perfect opportunity to make a change for the family, something that they weren't able to do, given the fact that they came a little bit older in their years here.
Wow. So how'd they just came over here, and then were they
They just started working. Correct. Yes. So they really didn't see the opportunity for themselves to pursue a career or anything of that nature. They just went strictly to the workforce. So when they had me, it was like, okay, well, we can definitely raise her to see the priority in education and in schooling. And I was
so you don't have siblings over here. Your siblings are back in, if you
So
do have
I
half siblings
do
are in Cuba.
I do have a sister and a brother from my mom's side.
Yep.
Right, and I'm the youngest from my mom, and
Right.
I am the only child for my dad.
Wow. So
So
how
I have
proud are they right now, huh? I'm sure like
super proud,
yeah.
super proud.
So like, okay, so I'm gonna jump forward to a question that I usually ask all guests. And like I want to just like remind everybody who's watching this, like you're a law student. I mean, usually we have attorneys on, but of course we highlight law students too, and we feature law students. And I mean, I went through the process too many years ago. It's crazy how many years ago. But anyway, so when was that moment when you were like, okay, like my parents really want me to have education? Law school's the thing. I mean, you didn't do med school, you didn't do engineering. What was it at? What was it about?
Honestly, ever since I can remember, I've always had a passion for advocating, and definitely the field of law was what really resonated with me. I
So
always,
how old though? How old? Like what did you see
I would
something
say
on
like
TV? Did
4
you
years old, 4 years old. I would see, like different shows and programs with attorneys in the courtroom and really
right
persuading. And I've always had that kind of personality of talking my way through things and really advocating.
and advocating for people? Okay,
Correct.
got it. So like okay, so bring us through like you went to school like really young. Like you already said, like you finished high school. You were like you finished your associates before high school.
Correct.
That's that's pretty amazing. So then you wanted to go out and get like a bachelor, right? So
Right.
okay, what was that experience like for you? Like, were you like an on-campus student, or was it like from home?
So I was an on-campus student. What's very interesting throughout my trajectory was that once I finished my junior year at SAS, School for Advanced Studies, I already had all of my high school credits. So I was really focusing on just graduating as a senior with that associate's degree. I ended up moving to Sarasota, Florida. And prior to that, I did some research because obviously I didn't want to move to a place that wasn't really going to offer the program that I was in, and I wasn't going to be able to really set that goal and achieve it of graduating with my associate's degree at the age of 17, which is what I had in mind. And it's so funny how God and just everything manages to manifest and work out, that the school that I was looking into actually was offering a dual enrollment program with USF. And it was just going to start that exact month that I moved.
Really?
And turns out I was the first dual enrollment student at USFSM. And they actually ran an article and interviewed me because I was the first in the county to ever take advantage of that program. So I pretty much introduced it for other students. Yes.
So tell us about that program. What does it mean? Like go ahead.
Right. So it was basically a dual enrollment program with Booker High School, which is a very known high school in Sarasota, Florida. They actually have the first trial courtroom in the state of Florida as we speak.
Okay.
Wow. I'm part of a mentoring program through Faces of Accomplishment, which is partnered with the high school. And I am in charge of mentoring students that are interested in going towards the legal field.
Amazing.
But yeah, that's beside the point. Well, at that moment, they were going to create, or they were in the process of creating a program affiliated with the University of South Florida, Sarasota campus, in which they would allow high school students to basically take maybe 3 to 4 classes a semester there at that particular college campus, which is a 4-year institution, and work towards their associate's degree. Well, thankfully, I already had those previous credits from Miami, and I was able to transition right through, and I was able to graduate with my associate's degree at the age of 17 before my high school, and then I was able to graduate with my bachelor's degree at the age of 18.
I mean, I think it's 17, and I went through law school like undergrad. I went to good schools, but I think at 17 I couldn't wait to be 18 so I could buy cigars. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you. I was 17 and just anxious to graduate and get right through everything. I've always had that.
You have a wicked drive in you. I'm going to just go up right now and ask you, like, what motivates you so much to be like, I mean, you're like an ideal like law student. Like, so what, or I shouldn't say that, but you're so driven. So like, what motivates you?
Honestly, I'm very much into faith. I am a strong believer, and I really do believe that God created each and every one of us to live to our true potential and to our true purpose.
Yeah.
And every day I am just driven to be the very best version of myself possible.
Wow.
So
Right.
for that means, to push myself to the limits, because I really don't think that anything is impossible as long as your mind is structured adequately.
So does it just feel right? Like what you're doing, it kind of just feels right.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And I kind of base myself on the amount of pressure that I have. So whenever I feel like I'm not doing a lot, I don't feel content with myself because I know I can be doing more.
Wow.
And I really like to feel that pressure of, okay, I'm tackling, like, for instance, right now I'm a full-time law student, so I'm taking 6 courses, about to graduate. I'm 1 semester away. This is actually my last semester as we speak. I'm going to start it on Monday. And I've been working almost full-time hours. I'm running my own notary services business.
How's the notary business these days?
It's going very well. Thankfully, there's a lot of closings, individuals refinancing their homes because of lower interest rates. So I've been pretty busy. I have at least 5 to 6 closings a week.
I'm sorry, 5 or 6 closings a week? Wow. And that's interesting because when you go to the closing, and I know you want to go into like corporate, right? Like you want
corporate and real estate law.
So, well, real estate, but like you get to you can make some money doing that, but B, you get to sit in on like tons and tons of closings. So that is like super smart. That's super good for you type of thing. And well done, I have to say, because you get to just sit in there and like watch an attorney do it. You don't have to be responsible for anything. You just have to do your notary thing, but you get to see the attorney in action, right? And then you're building rapport with certain attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's very smart that you did that. Like a lot of law students, like let alone 21 years old, a lot of law students who are 27 like don't think to do those things. So you deserve like an award.
Thank you.
So you're in your last. You have a last semester coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So Ydelmis, did I say that right? Ydelmis.
Ydelmis, correct? Yes.
Okay. So tell me, like, what has been like your best internship or like work experience, like while you're in law school? So you have the undergrad and the associates and the high school behind you. It's straight up law school now. Law school 3 years for you? That's 3 years, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what's been your best internship or experience? Like, is there anything there that you have?
Yes. So actually, I did a remote internship position with a business, and it's technically a business and legal advising company in Vegas, Nevada. Okay. And I was offered a remote position by one of the founding attorneys of the firm. And a lot of what I did was like legal research for certain attorneys of the firm. And I also would be in charge of like modifying and drafting different agreements, leases. So a lot of what the firm itself stood for was like real estate, asset protection, a lot of estate planning. So it was really good experience.
And where's this firm?
It's in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Anderson Business Advisors.
How did you find them?
So it's quite a funny story. I was attending an event, a real estate conference event in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, to be precise. And one of the founding attorneys of this firm was actually there present, giving a.
Wait, I have to stop you. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You attended an event. Like, who sent you to this event? Did you just go here by yourself?
So I actually went to accompany a partner of mine, and he's into real estate. He's actually a real estate investor. And we went to kind of, get information and educate ourselves more as to what are different like funding options.
What do you mean by a partner though? Like what, like how is he's a partner like for?
Like a relationship partner.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you say partner, I'm sorry, when you say partner in legal, I'm like, oh, you have like a law partner.
Okay, yeah, no, not yet. I do plan on owning my law firm eventually,
I'm
but no.
sorry, like if I knew like you meant like partner, like I would not have.
Yeah, no worries.
But it's more like when somebody says partner, I think they mean law firm.
Yeah, right. Right. No, not a business or legal partner, but my actual relationship.
Okay. Anyway, so you went to this place. You went to a.
Right. So I went to this real estate conference. It was mostly about teaching you how to transition from like residential real estate to commercial real estate. So there was a lot of talks about funding and the different options, the kind of legal advice that you would need to go ahead and make that transition or whatnot. And turns out that one of the founding attorneys for the law firm that I interned and was there, and he was actually giving a presentation about his law firm. And obviously, I was maybe a 2L at that point. I decided to go up and speak to him and ask him for any potential opportunity, just for the simple fact that I'm interested in real estate and corporate law, and his firm pretty much incorporated a little bit of everything. And he mentioned that obviously their office is in Vegas. I'm in Florida, so there was going to be quite a conflict there in terms of location, but he was willing to look into what he could offer me.
Okay.
And turns out that maybe about 3 weeks in, I received an email from him that he was willing to open a remote position for me to do legal research. Yeah.
So everybody, stop right here and say, everybody, Ydelmis is teaching us like you don't get anything unless you ask.
Exactly.
Very good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's no such thing as a no. Even if there is a no, there's essentially an opportunity behind that. So you just have to be persistent, essentially. And so he opened up this position for me, which was basically conducting legal research. So a lot of what I would do was comparing Vegas law to Florida law and things of that sort. And so I learned a lot. I learned about certain statutes that are very, very much used in Vegas, and obviously comparing it to the law here in Florida. So it was very interesting. Definitely something that helped shape my way of thinking, more or less. And aside from that, I was just offered a position, and I actually began January 4th. So next Monday.
January 4th. Okay.
I began a position at a title company and law firm. Okay. And it's kind of a hybrid position. I'm going to be a law clerk and a title processor. Okay. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I really, really am super excited, just because the firm itself also is involved in real estate and corporate law, which is my interest. So I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot there as well.
That's awesome.
And there's a lot of opportunity to grow. So I was essentially even offered a position once I graduate.
Wow. Okay.
As an associate attorney.
That's great. Congratulations. Like I
Thank you.
Respect your hustle. That's amazing. So like that's awesome. Like anybody wants like tell us about your school. So I'm actually personally curious. Like I know, I have a good friend that we actually had on the podcast. He's doing really well for himself in New York. He's like actually a real estate attorney. Heard from him today. Actually, you need about a referral, but he went to the he went to the Cooley in Michigan.
Okay. Lansing.
So what's up?
Is it Lansing? That's like the main campus.
Yeah, the main campus, but there's one in Tampa. So you're out there in Tampa, right?
Correct.
So like how do you like that? Do you know the differences between the schools and like or the locations and like how do you like it there? Like I mean, I know you're not going to say anything bad about your current school, but maybe you could tell us about your biggest challenge in law school.
Okay, so the school itself, what caught my attention was very much the amount of diversity in its environment. And it's definitely a great school. The professors are top notch. I really do think that it helps that it's smaller classes, because that way you're able to engage more with your professors and learn a little bit more and get more insight, as opposed to, a larger classroom. So I really enjoy that about the school and the campus itself. In reality, what stands out the most to me of our campus in itself is the fact that it's close to home. And that was a big factor for me because I didn't want to, go too far away from my parents and where I'm used to. I am a Florida girl. I plan to stay that way.
That's awesome. I miss Florida. That's awesome. All right. That's good.
It's definitely been very, very great for me because although I did have a commute at the beginning when I started, maybe like an hour commute in and driving to and from, it wasn't that bad. I didn't actually have to move in order to attend school. And I think the biggest...
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just to answer your question, the biggest challenge of law school for me was definitely balancing life. So I started law school working full-time at Regions Bank as a financial relationship specialist. So I pretty much was working over 40 hours a week and starting off with, I believe it was like 4 or 5 classes, 2 that were required and 3 that were core. So that was definitely very challenging because not only did I have that, but I also had a household to take care of at the time. So cooking, cleaning, everything of that nature. So that was very challenging in itself.
Ydelmis, that's a great segue to my next question. So about cooking, like back in February in your lawyer story, you did mention a cookbook. So like, are you still working on that? Like, how's that going?
I am. I'm
what kind of thing? Can you tell us like a couple things? Yeah. Okay.
Sure thing.
Can you send the founder of Lawyer Stories a couple?
Sure, absolutely.
No, anyway, so tell me about what you're putting in there.
So I love cooking. That's actually one of my passions, and definitely something that I like to do on the spare time. And a lot of what I like to cook, it's international fusions. So I'm obviously Cuban, so I'm very familiar with the Latin American flavors and the Latin American style of cooking. But I also enjoy Italian cuisines and I enjoy French cuisine, American cuisine. So I really like to incorporate a little bit of everything in my dishes. But the way that I have the cookbook set up, and this is, kind of giving you a preview, it's international cuisines and it's broken down by regions.
Okay.
So the Latin American region is broken down by South American, and then you have Peruvian, which I absolutely love. And if you're familiar with the culinary world, the Peruvian cuisine has actually been featured as one of the top cuisines in the entire world. It's very dynamic, very flavorful. There's a lot of different spices and a lot of different strategies to cook in the Peruvian cuisine. So that's one. I also have it broken down by Colombian cuisine, Venezuelan, Argentinian.
Really?
And then, and then
how do you do all that with like your reading and outlining? Like, that's incredible.
I managed to find the time for it.
What's the most what's the most mailable, like in the USPS cuisine that like, you could send over to like,
The most mailable?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would probably have to find that out.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Would any of it go with, actually tonight I'm having, I want to give a shout out to my friends at Larceny Bourbon. It's terrific. I'm drinking it in my Lawyer Stories podcast class. So thank you to my friends at Larceny Bourbon. But so if you have anything that would go well with Larceny Bourbon, we'll have to talk about it offline because this is like a Lawyer Story show and we have a couple of questions. But Ydelmis, okay, great. You're having fun. It looks like it. That's good. So like give me some strategies and tactics like that you use to stay like everything on top of your life. Cause you're doing a lot, like, you're a young person, but you're very driven. You're going to be super successful. I could tell. But tell us how you manage it and like how you stay on top of everything.
Well, I actually have a morning routine and an evening routine that I perform every single day. And part of my morning routine is really having the first 5 minutes when I open my eyes of just pure gratitude. So I like to really think of something that I'm thankful for and kind of start my morning off that way. I think it really helps shape how your day goes about.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people being the founder of Lawyer Stories, I get messages from people all over the world. I wake up to, that's lawyer_stories on Instagram. I wake up to like messages from people everywhere, you know?
Right.
And so that's good. You wake up and you're like, I'm so thankful. Like that's amazing. That I think that truly says something about the person.
Absolutely.
So continue. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. Then once I get that out of the way, I pray. Like I said, I'm very much of a believer. And I really know for a fact that prayer has aided me and guided me in various tough situations. So I like to always have a prayer, obviously give thanks, and just pray to God about how my day will go about, etc. Then I like to read a biblical verse. And
Really?
I think that also helps train my mind to really think on a more positive spectrum. And once I get that done, I go about starting off my morning. Then I like to look at my planner. So that is probably one of my lifesavers.
Do you have your planner in front of you? Let's see it.
I do, yes. So this is kind of what my planner looks like.
Let me ask you a question. Like so I have some of my law books right here. I'll let the crowd see. Like these are, you know, my law books were like coloring books, like the way I used to mark up cases. So how, like, and I didn't really, my question, I guess, to boil it down is how come you don't use like a phone to like, or a tablet to put your plans in for the day? Tell us about that.
So every now and then, I may have something in my calendar, whatever the case may be, just if I need that extra reminder. But I like everything written. I like to be able to see it and touch it and cross out and check mark when I get things done. Like if you noticed, I have check marks all over when I achieve the task and all of that. And it really gives me that sense of fulfillment.
It feels good. Yeah, it feels good. I hear that. I do. So honestly, like, for work, I mean, I'm older, obviously, but for work at my like full-time job, I have a notebook that I write everything down because it feels super good and like you've accomplished something when you can cross it off. So I get it for sure.
Absolutely.
And and like, honestly, it's great to see somebody from, you're not like a millennial, right? You're like a different, I
think I'm a Gen Z.
Damn, I don't even know. All right. So anyway, we don't need to get into like the astrology thing.
Right.
I'm just kidding. But like that's good to see like you doing that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, like I said, this is probably one of my biggest lifesavers every single day of my life, is really writing down what I need to do. And the good thing about this planner, and I would recommend it to anyone, the law of attraction planners, those are great. Not only because they kind of break it down by time frames, but they also give you the availability to write down what's your weekly goal, what are some habits you want to take in place for that particular week.
You're good. Yep.
Okay. For a second, I thought I lost you.
It did.
And then
for a second.
Okay. So, and it really helps you kind of break down your days and your weeks accordingly. So that's extremely useful for me. But yeah, so part of my tactics are definitely that morning routine, going over my planner, making sure I'm up to par and up to date with it. And then I have an evening routine, and that basically just consists of prayer before I go to bed and ending with a biblical quote or a biblical verse, pardon me. That way I can go to sleep, with a very tranquil and serene kind of mind. So those are things that work for me.
That's amazing. So like, what would you, for advice, like what would you give people who are struggling to like achieve their goals? Like, what would you tell them?
I would strongly urge everybody that's listening to this, and this is something that I tell everyone that is around me, that knows me, and even my mentee. So as I mentioned, I am obviously a mentor for Faces of Accomplishment. And some things that I'm very, very, very big on is planning and really writing down your goals. So I like to break down my goals from daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and yearly goals. And for yearly goals, I have a 1-year goal plan, a 5-year goal plan, and
that's incredible. Because honestly, my next question was like, where do you really see yourself in 5 years?
Well, 5 years from now, I see myself owning my own business.
So how does your current, like, I'm not trying to cause like drama or conflict, but like you just got a job. So how are they feeling about that?
So that's something that I disclosed up front. What are my
Good.
plans
That's great.
eventually, which is to, own my own law firm. I'm also thinking about potentially running as a judge. So
Wow. Look at
those,
you. Woo.
yeah.
So
Those
when are you
are
going to take the bar though? You got to take the bar, right? Like,
yes, I'm going to be taking it July 2021. So in a couple months.
okay. So did you start like, do you have any prep classes at law school or anything for that?
So I'm actually going to begin those in February.
And
I
you're going to take it
actually
in
have,
July or no?
well, yeah, I'm taking the bar July, but I'm going to
Okay.
begin the prep classes February, March. It's normally like within that 3-month mark.
Wow.
So
So
yeah.
much to ask you because I think like you're very like, I think it's amazing because like you have a lot of faith in yourself. So like, how do you have so much faith and like confidence that like you can do it? And I think like a lot of people need to hear it from somebody who is like where you're at. Like you're at like a very good place. Like law school can be one of those places where you go in and they break you down and then they build you up.
Right.
But I feel like you're at a place. You're like you're a place where you could be. Is it a perspective thing? Or is it
It
just
really
sort of
much
like
is.
I have no option thing? Or like what is it? Tell me. Like can you share?
So for me, and something I forgot to mention as well as part of my morning routine is listening to a motivational video every single
So you watch
morning.
the Lawyer Stories podcast and you read the stories.
Yes, definitely. That's
Okay.
like my top go-to. No, but seriously,
Okay.
you're doing great. I absolutely love
Well, thank
your
you.
podcast.
Thank you very much. We have your endorsement.
Yes, there you go.
Okay. So no, but
Um,
really like what to tell us. It's very important.
So I like to listen to motivational videos. I actually attended last year H20 Robbins event.
Really?
And that was life-changing in itself. So I encourage anyone that has the ability to do so, maybe virtually this time, to invest in yourself. I also invested in a Les Brown program, which is what's called the Power of the Voice. And it really helps you to not only speak better, but also to motivate others. And that's something that I'm very big on. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see that a lot of my posts are very motivational.
What's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram name?
No, just for everybody out there.
Okay, so it's Ydelmis, that's YDELMIS_XO. And yeah, I'm very big on motivation. And I think part of that is listening to those motivational videos every morning. It just gets me going. And it's extremely helpful. So
yeah, I listen to Gary Vee on my way to work sometimes. Like I used to do that. I mean, I haven't in a while, but I hear that. That's good. That's good.
It's very, very helpful. And like I told you before, really pushing myself to the limit and knowing that I can achieve everything and anything I attain.
What's the why? Like, so going back to the 5-year question, like, why are you so into that? I mean, like, you just want to be, so you were so upfront with your company, your new company. What did they say? And like, where really you want to have your own firm and business and tell me more about it if you want to share.
Yeah. So I have always pretty much had, this driven mentality. And like I stated before, I know that the sky's the limit for me. There's no limit, essentially. With God, everything is possible. And as long as your mind is structured correctly and you're able to feed it positivity and everything that you're supposed to, there's no barrier in between that. And so with the law firm that I'm actually starting employment with next week, I disclose to them what are my plans, what are my interests, what is it that I plan on giving to them, and how do I plan on using this employment and this opportunity as a growth opportunity for me. And they were very content to hear that I was very upfront. I disclosed everything as I should have. And they're very excited as well, because definitely I feel very confident that I will be an asset to their team for a fact, given my experience and given everything I pretty much have to offer, and vice versa. I think they're a great firm and I will have a lot of learning to do.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, not everybody goes through law school feeling like that, and I think like that's a great mindset to have. Ydelmis.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Is there anything we missed? Like, is there anything else you want to say to everybody out there? Like, any advice or like anything you want to say to the Lawyer Stories community or anybody that you're presenting this film to?
Right. I would definitely tell everyone that your mind is gold. And it's very important to invest in yourself and in your mind every single day, because that's really what dictates how you perform and what you do. And I'm a strong believer that each and every one of us, like I mentioned before, we were all created for a purpose. And so we will never really achieve that purpose unless we push ourselves every single day. And I'm a strong believer as well that there's always room for improvement. There's no such thing as I reached the top and that's it. This is where I'm at. Honestly, you need to feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable, and you need to love adversity, because that's what makes you grow. That's what makes you really experience life in a completely different mentality. So yeah, just stay true to yourself. If you're a believer, then you'll know the power of really communicating with God and letting him take control. And if you're not, it's really up to you as well. You really have to put from your part and give it your all every single day, because the mind controls everything. So if you're feeding it positivity, you're feeding it gratitude, and you really know that there's no such thing as limiting beliefs, you can attain everything and anything you put your mind to.
It's amazing. Very impressive young woman. You're going to graduate very soon. Ydelmis Cutino. Thanks for being with us. If you'd like to add anything, now is your time. I know you just added. I just asked you that and you just added something. Do you have anything else?
Something additionally would be, obviously follow me on Instagram. I really like to, use my story to inspire others and every day motivate and hold one another accountable. I think that's very important, especially in unprecedented times like this. You really need people that are willing to give you that extra help and really motivating and helping you see life in a different perspective, right? And also I would like to share, so I have 2 additional Instagram pages. One of them is for my business, which is Cutino Notary Services LLC. And the other one is Cooking con Sazon, which is my cooking page. So if you're interested,
Lawyer Story is going to have to pick some dishes out of that to get mailed.
Absolutely. And stay tuned, because that cookbook it's on its way.
Yeah, the cookbook's on its way, and I'll tell you what. So I just want to say, when the cookbook comes out, we'll definitely put it in our stories. We'll tell everybody. We'll put your face up there. We'll put your name up there. We'll be like, hey, this was an amazing podcast that we did with Ydelmis. The second thing I want to tell you is, like, I know you're super driven. You're doing an amazing job in the community. But if you ever see anybody on Lawyer Stories that like comes up, or like that you're searching through like our people that you want to connect with, just reach out to me and I will do the introduction. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds great.
No, so I'd be happy to do that. I'm really, I'm sold. Like, you're doing an amazing job. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna like recommend you to like any law student that ever comes to me and says, hey, like, what do I do? You've got your head on straight. So thanks for being here today. The Lawyer Stories podcast. We were super excited to have you. And for everybody out there listening, thank you for making it this far. And wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.
Thank you.
The Lawyer Stories podcast is produced by Marketing the Law. Are you looking at your social presence every day? Potential clients are. Learn how to magnetize your brand with the help of Marketing the Law. Find us on Instagram at Marketing the Law to learn more.